All right, so let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk about the Trump impeachment team, because there was a lot of kerfuffle over the weekend about who was going to be on the team. We've got a trial scheduled to start next week, and largely it has been unsettled at this point in time, which is not particularly good. You want to have your defense team ready before you go to trial. Typically not a week before either, but this is where we're at. They're moving forward with the impeachment, so Trump has to respond. This article comes over from CNN. Trump's impeachment defense team leaves less than 2 weeks before trial. And this is what I'm talking about that happened over the weekend. This was on Sunday. Former President Donald Trump, 5 impeachment defense attorneys have left a little more than a week before his trial was set to begin, according to people familiar with the case, over a disagreement over his legal strategy. It was a dramatic development in the second impeachment trial for Trump. He struggled to find lawyers to take his case. Legal briefs are due next week, and a trial is set to begin only days later. And they're saying here that Trump is still hanging on to this election fraud charade. They're saying he's without legal representation. Well, that changed. Butch Bowers, Deborah Barbier were expected to be 2 of the lead attorneys. They are no longer on the team. They said it was a mutual decision for both to leave the legal team. As the lead attorney, Bowers assembled the team. Josh Howard, a North Carolina attorney who was also recently added, also recently left, along with a guy named Johnny Gasser, Greg Harris, both from South Carolina. Instead, in lieu of them, we now have some new attorneys. So Trump names a new defense team ahead of the Senate impeachment trial. Over from NPR, we'll see that Trump was in need of new representation, and now leading the team, we have a guy named David Schoen and Bruce Castor Jr. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about both those here in a quick second. The trial over Trump's role in the Capitol attack in early January is set for February 9th. So that's going to be next week. That is going to be on Tuesdays when it's going to start. In his statement, Trump says, notably, well, let's look at the statement itself. 45th President Donald J. Trump announces a legal team. 45th President Donald Trump announced the highly respected trial lawyers David Schoen and Bruce L. Castor will head his impeachment defense team, bringing national profiles and significant trial experience to high-profile cases to the effort. Notably, Schoen has already been working with the 45th President and other advisors to prepare for the upcoming trial. Both Schoen and Castor agree this impeachment is unconstitutional, a fact 45 senators voted for in an agreement last week. It's an honor to serve and represent the 45th president, said Schoen. Castor added, I consider it a privilege to represent the 45th president. You like how they keep using this word, 45th president? Why do they keep saying that? All right. Why do they keep, is that because they don't want to say former president? Is that why? The strength of our Constitution is about to be tested like never before in our history. It is strong and resilient, a document written for the ages, and it will triumph over partisanship yet again and always. So let's take a look at who these 2 attorneys are. Largely, I think that this is kind of academic at this point, if I can be frank. I think that Donald Trump is not going to get convicted. We already saw that 45 senators said that this is unconstitutional. As long as 45 senators vote not to convict him because it's unconstitutional, he is not convicted. So, I just don't, it would be very hypocritical of them to flip their vote suddenly, but we don't know what evidence is going to be presented, and so maybe something will come up next week that will change that. Let's take a look at these 2 new lawyers. We got David Schoen. He's an attorney at law. He's a federal criminal defense and civil rights lawyer. So right in my wheelhouse. We like these types of people. Schoen has offices in New York and Alabama. He says he takes cases from all around the countries and overseas. He mainly focuses on the litigation of complex civil and criminal cases before trial and appellate courts, which is good, right? He looks like he's got some years of experience under him. He serves as the chairperson of the ABA, which is the American Bar Association. They have a criminal justice subcommittee and the civil rights committee. He's a legal commentator on television, according to the AP. He recently represented the Trump ally Roger Stone during a sentencing appeal. Stone dropped that appeal. Trump commuted his prior sentence. The former president later granted him a pardon for lying to Congress. Schoen also met with the accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein before his death. So you know that this guy is probably charges a lot because Epstein had a lot of money. Before his death, NPR reports, he said publicly that he doesn't believe Epstein killed himself in a New York prison. Do you think Epstein killed himself? I guess that's up for debate still. Maybe not. I don't know. Don't want to be labeled a conspiracy theorist because conspiracy theorists are dangerous, according to this new administration. Let's take a look at another attorney who is on the team. We have Bruce L. Castor Jr. This guy was a district attorney in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania from 2000 until 2008, which means he was a prosecutor. You know, prosecutors. All right. Well, during that time, he decided against charging Bill Cosby in a sex crime case, the AP reports. So they're obviously not happy about that. He had said that he thought Cosby should have been arrested, but that there wasn't strong enough evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. So he has flipped. When we talk about this at our firm and other firms, we talk about pure blood defense attorneys, not prosecutors, okay, who become defense attorneys, people who were born into defense law, molded by it, shaped by it. That's what we have here at our firm. This guy's not one of them, but we're glad he joined the side of righteousness. So Bruce L. Castor is now joining the Trump team, and he's a defense attorney. Cosby was later convicted, as we all know. After serving as a district attorney, he was a commissioner for Montgomery County until 2016, and later as the acting attorney general. He said in a release Sunday he considers it to be a privilege, and it's going to be strong and resilient. So, we're going to keep seeing how this impeachment stuff develops. We're scheduled for this next week. I don't know yet whether this is going to be a long, blown-out thing or a very short, sort of condensed and consolidated trial. I would guess that it's going to try to be condensed and consolidated just so they can move on with this. I'm not real sure that any one of the political parties has a lot of interest in seeing this thing drag out for weeks and weeks. We saw that there was a sort of a snap impeachment where the evidence in front of the House was basically non-existent. They drafted some article of impeachment, passed it in the House, sent it over to the Senate. They delayed it a little bit. They could have started this impeachment trial sooner, but they needed to get some of Biden's people confirmed. Now that has happened, we're going to see what the structure of this looks like. So we'll have some continuing news on that, but we're going to really spend some time on it next week when it gets well underway.